All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the pregame cheat sheet brought to you by Gates Barbecue. And of course, want to welcome to another year. I don't even know how many seasons this is, Steve. All I know is we've been doing it for a
Man,
while.
yeah,
I
I was
mean,
thinking about that the other day. It's like, sheesh, how many? Long
it's
time.
funny because you think about the playoff run that the Chiefs have gone on. Like, we've essentially done a full season as well in the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs. But I'd like to welcome you to the pregame cheat sheet. I'm Darren Smith along with Mr. Steve Walls. And Steve, we finally made it. It's going to be a slight delay still as they try to bring the players and stuff back on the field. A little lightning and weather delay here at Arrowhead Stadium, but we are live inside the Arrowhead press box, where, of course, Steve and I, we cover the Kansas City Chiefs as they look to not only unveil their championship banner tonight, but start the road for a potential three-peat this upcoming season. Steve, your initial thoughts?
When I said that there was going to be a lot of festivities going on, I forgot to mention rain, I guess.
Man, look, one of our colleagues, Jeff Chadia from the network, we joked that he got caught out there. I had no idea it was supposed to rain. It was so hot.
It
We were
literally,
complaining about the weather.
it went from 95 plus degrees outside to dropping at least 20 degrees. Like, seriously, I walked from one side of the stadium to the other side, and it was dark and windy, and I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. And by the time I got up to the press box, it was pouring down, raining, and they had to clear the field. And so once there's lightning, there's always a 30-minute delay from the last time that you see a lightning bolt.
And we saw NBC, they were doing their pregame show right underneath the tunnel where the players walk out at. So,
Well, we're dry. That's all I got to say.
it's facts. Look, there's so much to talk about. Again, we've got these two teams that faced off in the AFC Championship game. Your Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Kickoff was initially at 7:20. Looks like it'll be pushed a little bit. We're not sure. I guess they'll make an announcement when they do. But I mean, for NBC, this is a battle of two-time MVPs. Again, follow up to the AFC Championship game, a rematch where Patrick Mahomes is. Now, it's funny. A lot of people don't like quote-unquote quarterback records when it don't, but people say Mahomes has a 4-1 record, or Lamar Jackson's 1-4 against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So, I guess you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But looking at this initial matchup between these two-time MVP quarterbacks, what's your initial impression on this game?
I mean, initially, you got to look at last year, right? You got to look at how things ended and the outcome of the game, right? It's like Baltimore is coming in here, and we say this each and every year in and year out. These teams that call themselves juggernauts, when they play Patrick Mahomes, if you're a running team, you're going to end up throwing the ball. And I feel like that's what happened last year when, you get a Lamar Jackson who, I mean, is a running quarterback. But he, all of a sudden, whether it was coaching or whether it was himself and he audibled out of it, they decided to throw the ball. And I feel like if you're going to let, I was saying this earlier, if you're going to let Zay Flowers, be your home run hitter as a rookie, and you're going to depend on him to help you win the game, the Chiefs have all the chances in the world to win that game. And my money would definitely be on the Chiefs if Baltimore decides that they want to do that. And we saw how the outcome was. It's like Lamar wanted to be Superman and go up against Patrick Mahomes, show off his arm, and, I am a throwing quarterback. No, Lamar, you can be a dual threat. However, your strength is in your legs.
I know you and I, of course, along with Harold and Aaron, we were all in Baltimore for the AFC Championship game. I remember post-game, we were on the field, and I was interviewing Steve Spagnuolo afterwards, and I asked him about it, about them initially just literally stopped running the football in the first quarter. And I'll never forget, because I know one of the props that I had in that particular game was their starting running back to at least get 25 yards rushing. I think he got like 21, and they just did not give him the ball the rest of the game. And I just asked him about it, what was the game plan, and he told me that their game plan was to make him a one-dimensional player, to make him pass ball, but they had no idea it was going to happen in the first quarter. They just figured it was going to be later on throughout the game to where he'd have to play catch-up and, couldn't run the football and then be forced to throw. Spags had no idea that they were just going to forfeit running the football, midway through the first quarter. And he said it caught him and his coaching staff by surprise when they did that.
And there's a few people who say, well, Spags decided to stack the box, put, amen in the box. And it's like, okay, if you're going to do that, but your strength is run the ball, come hell or high water, I'm running the football.
Yeah.
Bring me out of it. They were, to me, and I don't want to dwell on last year, but to me, they were winning the game by running the football. You want to slow this team. If you want to slow the Chiefs down, how do you do it? You slow the game down and you run the ball, and that's your strength. So Baltimore, I just and they have the defense to be able, to get rest. And when the Chiefs offense comes back on, they are able to hold, 14-point lead. I feel like Baltimore last year, their defense would have been able to do that.
Yeah. These two teams have met 11 times in the regular season. The Chiefs actually have a 7-4 lifetime record against the Baltimore Ravens. But the last time these two teams played, Steve, you and I were talking about it before we came on the air, and I hadn't realized the 5 times they matched up, which either shows how long they've been in the league or how old we are. But the last time these two faced off in the regular season was on the Sunday night game that you and I were in Baltimore, where the Uber race for Sky High at midnight that game, where the Chiefs lost that game 36-35 initially, what clinched it for Baltimore was Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbling the football in the fourth quarter, and it was 36-35 where they won again. That's the lone victory that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have over the Chiefs during this time there. And of course, the last time these two teams played, the Chiefs beat them 17-10 back in January. But in the regular season, again, it's been three and a half years since these teams, 3 years since they faced off with each other. So, do they have anything to build on or to go off of with that the last time they played in the regular season, or is it basically, new season? You got some new players. Again, they do have the big acquisition for them in the offseason and acquiring Derrick Henry on the free agency block. Now, obviously, you would think that would force them to run the football more because you have him, but they had a good running back last year where they didn't do that. But your initial thoughts with Baltimore's offense and coming into tonight's game?
Oh man, I mean, you're always going to have a shot because you have Lamar Jackson. Don't get me wrong, the stuff that we talked about from last year is just, I mean, he's still one of the top quarterbacks in the league. If I had a team and Patrick wasn't available, I definitely would go, with Lamar Jackson. If you have him, you have your chance. Now that being said, you look around to to a supporting cast, and that's what concerns me. I mean, looking at Zay Flowers versus the Chiefs, will he try to come out here and be something that he's not, right? Like, I mean, because you think about that, the way that their season ended last year was Zay Flowers, fumbled L'Jarius Sneed.
But I was going to say, L'Jarius Sneed was on him most of the game, if not all the game. L'Jarius Sneed is no longer here. Now, you'll have to deal with Trent McDuffie.
Yeah.
But because he didn't, I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see how that matchup unfolds tonight because we did not see that matchup in the AFC Championship game because L'Jarius Sneed was on the number one receiver.
I like you bring that up because I go back to the Germany game when you had Tyreek Hill, you had L'Jarius, follow him a little bit, and then you had Trent McDuffie, who. I feel like Trent is now without L'Jarius, Trent is now the physical guy. He has to bring, that physical ability that he has. And we've heard Spags talk about it a lot. It's like, I'm leaving my guys out there on that island, and you're just going to have to man up and do what you need to do. And I feel like Trent McDuffie will be okay with that.
I agree with that. And one of the things that Spags talked about this week, where he talked about that cornerback number 2 position is quote unquote open. Now, I think initially Joshua Williams starts out, because I think I won't say he's been the longest, but he's, I think he's opened up. And what I like about Joshua, he does have the height.
Of course.
Speed-wise, I'm not sure where, but I'm pretty sure he's the 4'4" guy. So he's got the height, he's got the length. I think he's got enough speed where he'd be able to go one-on-one with that. And I think he's become a physical defensive back. And having a couple of years in Spags' system, I mean, and I think that's one thing that we kind of, I don't want to say we downplay, but the fact that Spags' system is as complicated as it is, but you've had 2 rookies, as in McDuffie along with Williams, grow in this system, and of course you got Justin Reed as well, who returns to the field as well tonight as a starter. So you got three starters where we have 2 starters and one that's going to be started that have had 3 years or now going into the 3rd year in Spags' system where it should just be like clockwork. I mean, whatever Spag now, that other safety position, we'll see how that unfolds. But you got three players with enough experience where wherever Spags called defensively, it should just be like clockwork for them.
Yeah, and you have to throw in Jalen Watson as well
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
mix.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
Spags was you had to play him. I mean, his and we talked about it all the time. Spags just didn't play young guys, and just that's the benefit of just being around for the 3 years that they've been around. They've learned a lot, they've played a lot, and they played a lot together.
Yeah.
And that's the good thing about this defense. And we haven't even talked about the defensive line. I mean, you have Chris Jones that's leading those guys, and then the linebacking core. So you've got a great camaraderie with this defense that you brought back from last year. And I feel like they ended the season on a high note. And if you're able to do that, just like opposite Zay Flowers, he ended it on a note that he would love to go back and redo. This defense, I mean, the top defense in the league, and you're coming back to fight another year.
Steve Walls, Darren Smith, we're live inside the Arrowhead press box, bringing you the pregame cheat sheet. Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Baltimore Ravens opening night in the NFL, where the Chiefs will be unveiling their new championship banner. They also, of course, going to be doing something on the field. I saw earlier, because I get here early, they got their four championship. I don't even know what to call it, just because.
Trophies?
No. That's outside. No, I'm talking about what they're going to display. Like they're like flags, but you know how they stretch out the flag. It just they got four of those big banners or whatever.
And here's the thing, like we mentioned last year, and they did a lot. You think about all the distractions that they had last year, right? You had the banner, you had.
But see,
hold on, let me finish.
I know, but you're about to mention two things where it's going to be a big difference. So.
Yeah, you had the banner, you had opening night, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of these guys first time playing, and then you also have your top. You can call him a receiver, but he's a tight end. Travis Kelce, no Travis Kelce, right? And then you have another leader on your defense who's sitting up with us. So you think about it, all that was going on, and then you got a hungry Detroit Lions team that came in here, was wanting to kick off their season by beating the champs, right? So all that being said, you don't have any of that. You got the banner, but other than that, you got Taylor Swift, who I was gonna mention her. You got Taylor Swift, and then you got a lot of other things that are happening, but you've got all your guys who are ready to go.
Hold on, is she expected to be here tonight?
Oh, she's here.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she texted me and was like, "Hey, Steve, I'm pulling up."
Shut up. I can't even be serious.
I'm serious. Hey, I'm pulling up. I'm like, all right, I'll see you.
Anyway, but to your point though, again, there were two important factors. Travis Kelce was out because of the wrist injury that he suffered literally a week before the opening, and then Chris Jones' contract situation. The only player that's literally out for tonight's game is Hollywood Brown due to the shoulder injury that he suffered in Jacksonville the first preseason game. So I mean, I don't. Because of the pump system, I think they learned their lesson from last year. But the biggest thing that people will remember from last year's game, it's not those players that were out. It was the fact of those drop passes. I mean, Kadarius Toney, couldn't catch the ball and ended up being a pick six. That was the key. That was the difference in the ball game, because the Chiefs lost 21-20, where the Chiefs had a chance to win the game.
Yeah.
But we had issues with the receivers not being able to catch the football. So I think I don't want. Let's just say, for the sake of discussion, that the Chiefs, I don't want to say got rid of those issues, so to speak, because even though MVS isn't here, he did play big when they needed him against Buffalo in the AFC divisional game. So I want to point that out. Even though he had issues catching the football as well, when it mattered most in the end, he played well. He played well in the playoffs for the team.
And speaking of that, this is a question that I've been asking a bunch of folks, and I'll ask you: would you rather have? And I'm gonna do this. The guys that are here.
Okay.
Would you rather have Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and would you rather have them play bad all season?
Oh, Lord.
No, would you rather have them play bad all season? And then when you get to the playoffs, be phenomenal, and lead you or help you get to the Super Bowl, or would you rather have them all season play just amazing and then they get to the playoffs and lay an egg?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that you can have that 2 years in a row
Hmm. No,
because
don't answer right now.
no,
Answer my
no, no,
question.
no, no. I'm not answering the question because you're playing with fate. I
Hmm.
mean, last year, fate just happened to be on the Chiefs side, and
Hmm.
could have been and could have been Taylor Swift as well,
Hmm.
been on the Chiefs side. If I had to choose one, if it ended with a Super Bowl victory, yeah, I would take the former versus the latter.
Okay.
However, if they were to have a bad season, I can't see them being in the same situation that they were last year because you'd have to put more stress on the defense and more, to be quite honest, you put more stress on Mahomes because, as he mentioned before, last year wasn't a fun regular season for him. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yes, they won a championship,
Hmm.
but the journey along the way was very stressful for him because, I mean, week in, week out, you and I both know players look at social media.
Oh yeah, they do.
And
They do.
and trust me, Chiefs PR, they tell me we watch your content. They watch what we do, they watch what we say. So we always try
They
to
watching
find.
you. They ain't watching me.
Hey, I don't care. Hey, look, hey, at least they watch it, so
Yeah.
that's the good thing. Um, but I said it to say that you know, because of that, it was a very stressful situation. Players are dealing with mental health issues,
Yeah. True.
and because, when you got Chiefs, when you have folks out there that are threatening them and calling them names, and and stuff like that, but then they want to cheer them on, at the
Yeah.
same time, you can't have it both ways. And so,
But
I
that's
mean,
that's the average fan though.
yeah, but I'm
I mean,
saying, but the
without
players,
taking it too far.
yeah, I'm saying, but the players see now again, it still messes with their psyche, and it somehow translates on the field. So, but again, you have a situation with Patrick. Patrick had to deal with. I mean, he had to deal with questions. I mean, like 2 years ago when he was, you know, jabbing the ball all around, he was throwing for 5,000 yards. He was having fun because it was a challenge for him at that time
Yeah.
because of not being without Tyreek Hill. He wasn't expecting that year two, because year two with these players because he felt like, well, hell, we did all this 2 years ago. Why can't we not do it again?
But that comes with the territory. Like it's not supposed to be given to you. I
No, no,
mean,
no, 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 no,
and
no, no, no. It's not a matter. No, but your starting receiver should not have that type of. I don't want, and I'm just saying sophomore jinx or sophomore slump after they won a championship to
it
where
happens, man.
no, not the entire wide receiving core outside of Rashid, their production drops.
It happens. You've heard of the Super Bowl hangover?
For
Dang.
losing teams.
No, it happens when winning teams too. You hurt.
Not
No,
like that, Steve.
I get it. I get it. Stuff happens.
Not where you're not where
Hey.
four of your top five receivers, their production. I mean, where they can't catch a damn flu. It don't happen like that.
This comment is funny. Mr. A to Z said, "I'm here for Coco Jones." Facts. Me too.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Oh man. The thing about that is, I don't think that you could. It can go the other way around too. You can have a season like you did last year, where all the guys.
Because I know you said you've been asking me about that question.
They could be terrible all season and
So long as
then
we
be
get
rock stars.
New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, who lining up against you that are just as good on the defensive side of the ball, and everybody, it was like I said, this is their Super Bowl. Like this is tonight is the Ravens Super Bowl, and I heard Lamar Jackson was asked about something similar to that. He kind of downplayed it and said, "Hey, this is just another game. It's game one of the season." However, I go back to what I said earlier. Y'all remember what happened out in Baltimore, so. You coming in with that chip on your shoulder.
Just want to give everybody an update. We do have a countdown clock. It shows about 34 minutes before kickoff, so we'll be going till at least 7. It is no, it's 7:05, so we'll be going till at least 7:20, 7:20 or so. So,
no, we got to see Coco Jones, man. What you doing?
Well, she's not going. She's not doing it no time soon. No, I mean we can always pause and see her do her thing, but. I do want to get to the offense because we haven't had a chance to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs in the offseason, They acquired Hollywood Brown as a free agent. They drafted Xavier Worthy. They even brought back a couple of weeks ago Juju Smith-Schuster, who helped who helped lead the team to their third Super Bowl title 2 years ago against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, with those moves that they made, of course, they also re-signed McCole Hardman and brought back Justin Watson as well. They allowed, when it was all said and done, they cut Kadarius Toney. They kept Sky Moore, and they allowed MVS to test free agency, and he ended up signing with Buffalo. So with the moves that they did, and going back to your initial question, it's hard for me to see that happening because if you draft a kid that has a faster 40 time than even Tyreek Hill, that's faster than combine history, if he's any type of player that he was in Texas, it's going to be hard for defenses to kind of challenge the Chiefs because he's someone that can stretch the field. Holly, when he returns, can stretch the field. If they catch the football, I can't see any scenario where you have those three wide receivers have a bad year where the Chiefs struggle offensively. And to be honest, because of the fact that you've got those three receivers and you got Rashid back and you bring in Juju back as well. The expectation is for Mahomes to be able to have the explosive offense that he had when Tyreek was here, on top of the fact that you got players that, quote unquote, should be able to catch the football, and because you have excellent route runners in Brown along with Juju Smith-Schuster, you open things up to where if push comes to shove, you got Kelsey right underneath, and if push comes to shove, you got Pacheco in the backfield who can run open into the flat. So the Chiefs, it again, not that it can't happen, but to me, they have too many weapons of players who that can catch the football. That to me, it should be hard for Patrick to not have another MVP type season.
Let me ask you something. Who led the team? And I'll ask the chat this too. Who led the team in touchdowns last year?
Wasn't it Pacheco?
It was Pacheco. It was Pacheco.
Yeah.
It's kind of rough for a team, to have the star powered wide receivers and your running back leads you in touchdowns. Hold on, let me finish. They brought in Samaje Perine, and I feel like now that you have, and I'm not dissing any of the running backs that they had last year, right? I like Jerick McKinnon, love what he's been able to do the past few years that he's been here. However, he's more of a third down, blocking running back and catch the ball a little bit out the backfield. But you bring in another guy who's been, even though he's with Denver, he's been solidified as a guy that's been able to get things done. And so I feel like that will, on top of what you said, be able to open up the wide receivers as well.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's too many for me. When you look at compared to last year and this year, players who had a lot of drops that couldn't catch the football, they're not here anymore. So you have players that can catch the football, which means Patrick has too many options. And now the biggest concern, if anything, is making sure that Patrick has the time behind the offensive line. You got a rookie left tackle. If he has the time, again, I mean, Andy said himself, Patrick said himself, that their thought process this season is to, stretch the field once again.
Yeah.
I mean, you stretch the field, then you can open up everything underneath and stuff as well.
Of course.
And depending on how they dial up plays and personnel that they put out there, it is just, I mean, it's not that it can't happen because they can have bad days and bad games and defenses can draw stuff, but it's just hard for me to see where somebody is not open that they cannot get positive yard. I'm not saying every play is going to be a touchdown, every play is going to be a first down, but to where it's hard for me to see how defenses keep this offense off the field drive after drive after drive when you got so many weapons that can find themselves being open, and if Patrick puts the ball in the right place, it's just hard for me to see this offense being stopped this year.
And one good thing about it is you bring in Hollywood Brown, you got Xavier Worthy, and you Juju, Justin Watson, all the wide receivers. These guys, and we said this back when Tyreek Hill was here, these guys are going to be able to help out Travis Kelce and extend his career.
The one thing though, when you had Tyreek, you had other receivers.
Yeah, of course.
No, I'm saying you had but they wasn't at the level of the receivers that we have now. So to where, I mean, because no, because I mean, because yeah, you had McCole, you had D-Rob, you had some, but again, they don't scare other players.
Sammy did.
Yeah, but Sammy couldn't stay healthy all the time. That was the you know
Came through when you need
it,
him.
it came through. But I'm saying, but again, but the receiver that you have now, Hollywood has a proven track record. Now Xavier has the speed. We just got to make sure that he transfers what he did in Texas here.
Agreed.
We already know what Juju can do because Juju done it while he was here.
Hmm.
Rashid did it last year as a rookie. So and obviously with what he dealing with what he been dealing with off the field, he wants that. I mean, he feels like if his play produces on the field, you kind of forget about what happened off the field until that time comes up later on. So again, when Tyreek was here, Tyreek was the focal point along with Travis. Now you don't know once he comes back, you don't know if it's going to be Hollywood is going to have a good game,
Hmm.
if it's going to be Xavier. We already know what Rasheed can do. If Juju, if they run four wideouts and got Juju up, you just don't know who they're going to go to. And then
I
of
agree.
course you still got Travis,
I agree.
and then you got Pacheco. I mean,
Yeah.
and so I'm saying, to me, this is the most explosive offense that the team has had since 2018. In 2018, they were putting up like 35 points a game. They had to because the defense was giving up 45 points. It felt like at times.
I agree. Before we get to Corey's question, man, one thing I do want to talk about, the stadium is filling up,
Yeah.
and this is one of the things that if I'm Baltimore, I'm like, man, this rain delay is going to hurt us. The reason I say that is because sometimes you get where all the fans are showing up at once, and not everybody's in the stadium at kickoff.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have everybody in their seats at kickoff, and it's going to be loud and crazy in here.
Arrowhead, man. Well, nobody wants to miss the banner dropping and stuff.
But you
too.
still got
Or
the
Coco
people
performing.
coming into right. People having to get to the turnstiles and all that. So I think you've got, and it's filling up already. But to get to Corey's question, he said, if you talk about the new kickoff, what are some of the penalties for either team moving?
Well, they're not supposed to move,
Yeah.
but it's
And we could talk about the new kickoff.
I mean, it's fine. I just think it becomes a false start, though. I mean, offside penalties. So
Yeah. Here's the thing about the kickoff, and I know you've talked to Dave Tobe about it. We've heard him throughout the preseason. To me, if I'm kicking the ball, I'm kicking it out. I'm kicking it out of the end zone. You almost have to because you're putting yourself at risk. And I know teams have studied this, and they've got guys that are able to crunch numbers. And if you do this, this will happen, and just probability, things like that. It's just I don't want to take that chance. I just don't.
you know what? And we talked about it in the preseason. I'm wondering whether or not teams would just give up the 5 yards.
Of course.
Instead of
Of course, I would.
But but the flip side is teams could just be holding back, because they do have, they feel like they might have the ability to, if they do kick it off and kick it to, I guess, wherever the zone is for them to be forced to return it. I mean, they feel like they probably could have some type of defense against it where they could keep them, within the 30-yard line. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we talked to Tove, and most of the time these coaches aren't going to reveal because what we noticed after the first weekend is like, okay, they're probably just going to be kicking it out the end zone until the regular season because they don't want to show what they've come up with.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see. I know we'll see Justin Reed kick a few kickoff.
Well, I don't know if he's going to be kicking off anytime soon because it could be because he had the quad injury.
Yeah.
So you kind of don't want to re-aggravate that just to for him to start kicking. Look, the Chiefs become the first Super Bowl repeating champs since New England in 03 and 04. Where they'll try to get a three-peat, or somebody said on the NFL Network a Chief Pete, whatever.
Chief Pete. That's funny.
But yeah, Pacheco did lead the team last year with 1,179 scrimmage yards and 9 touchdowns, 7 on the ground, 2 receiving. Looking at this team overall, I mean, we know what the expectations are, but what do you see Andy Reid looking for out of these rookies? We know, again, Kingsley. Kingsley, starting left tackle. I think he's going to be the only rookie that's going to be starting right now. I mean, we did see a lot of Jaden
Xavier
Hicks.
Worthy. He's also
Who?
Xavier Worthy.
Well, yeah, depending on lineup, but yeah, Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But what do you think Andy's expectations are from these rookies and what they're going to contribute?
I mean, just hearing what Andy had to say earlier this week about Kingsley, I think he's a rookie. right? You've got to be a little bit more. His leash is a little bit longer than a guy that you brought in here that is expected to not have false starts,
Hmm.
not have those kind of penalties, holding penalties and things like that. So I think his leash is going to be a little bit longer, as well as Xavier Worthy's. They're going to make mistakes. There's rookies, especially in night one, right? And Patrick has to understand it. I feel like as long as
I think he's gonna do well. I talked to him this week. I think it was Sunday. I talked to him, and I asked him was he nervous. He was like, no. I was just like, oh, okay.
oh, he said that off.
Yeah, he was just like, no. He was like,
Okay.
and I would say a lot of that comes from Andy Heck, but also the confidence you get being next to Tooney and Creed and Trey Smith. I mean, they've taken him underneath their wing, and I mean, they have a lot of confidence in him,
Hmm.
and so I mean, he's like someone that's always say he's just ready to go hit somebody, hit somebody else
Yeah.
on the other team. And when I asked him about facing the Baltimore defense, he was like, "Man, as long as I get to hit somebody, I'm good."
That's all you got to worry about.
Yeah, and Xavier has like a poker face, so I'm expecting. Let me ask you this: because of how the Chiefs have been looking, how they look all last year,
Mhm.
do you think Mahomes and them are going to try to make a statement with this offense in tonight's game? Because for me, I think to show that this is a whole new Chiefs offense compared to
Mhm.
last year, I think the Chiefs are going to try to not say run the score, but I think they're going to try to show, what they can do with this offense and put everybody on notice.
I would agree with that, and the reason why I say it is because we know the thing about Patrick Mahomes when he came into the league.
Hmm.
Oh, he's going to throw a lot of interceptions because he likes to throw the deep ball, right? He hasn't been able to really do that last year until the tail end of the season when I
Yeah,
mean we're up in Buffalo and
he
uh,
hit MVS, I think
and
it
he
was.
hit MVS over the show. Those were the kind of plays that we saw early in the season where Justin Watson was the only guy that could catch the ball
Yeah,
down the field, right? So I think they definitely want to show off their new toys. It's like Christmas morning, right? You always want to play with your new toys. So I feel like that's what's going to be from Patrick Mahomes. You're going to see that. And I mean, if I'm a betting man, I say he throws over 250 today.
one thing we haven't looked at. You mentioned it
He
earlier.
ain't run over to Kansas and place that bet.
Yeah, I know, right? I placed all my bets 5 this morning because I had to go speak at my institution. So I want to ask you about on the defense side of football because you mentioned it and we hadn't talked about it all. The linebacking core,
Hmm.
the loss of Willie Gay. Of course, he ended up as a free agent. Chiefs didn't offer him a contract. He signed with the New Orleans Saints. But in place of him, you got Drew Tranquil that they re-signed
Hmm.
and elevating Leo Chenal to the starting lineup to go alongside Nick Bolton. How will Willie Gay's loss impact the linebacking core?
He was a juice man. That's what he called himself, right? So he definitely was a guy that brought the energy. But I think his injuries hurt him a little bit. I think he was the guy that Nick Bolton's not the coverage guy. If just watch it, he doesn't have the hip movement that Willie Gay had and been able to get out and cover the running back downfield and the speed. And I think Nick has, and he talked about it earlier in the preseason. He said, hey, that's something I've been working on. Drew Tranquil is a little longer in the tooth, right? So he just wants to go out and hit somebody. So where does that leave you? I think you're going to have somebody else that's going to have to step up and fill that void.
One of the one of the new additions to Kansas City's team is
Hmm.
the punter, Matt Ariza. Um, left
Yeah,
left-footed punter.
yeah.
They didn't bring back Tommy Townsend. They let him
You went and
go.
got that bag. You got to, man.
Yeah, well, that too. But his nickname was the punt god in college, and
Yeah.
he was initially signed. I think he was drafted by Buffalo.
Hmm.
Had a rape charge or something from college that kind of followed him. They cut him.
Hmm.
Charges got dropped, and he was just out there last year. And then the Chiefs brought him back and got him for minimum. But we've seen what he's been able to put out there
Hmm.
on the field. How does he help? Toe with this because again, if he's able, because we saw a couple of 60, 70-yard punts that he was able to do during the preseason.
I'm gonna tell you what some Chiefs fans told me. If we have to worry about Matt Araiza punting the ball, that means our offense isn't doing their job.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So
you're gonna be playing some good defense. I mean,
so what I'm gonna
go
tell you is that
gonna need him
Chiefs
to
fans better
pin it
hope you
down
don't
in
see a lot
the.
of Matt
Hey,
Araiza.
but if he can pin it down, say 5 yards, from the
Yeah,
end zone,
yeah.
I mean that helps the
Of
defense.
course, I agree. But Chiefs fans hope you don't see a lot of Matt Araiza. That's all I'm gonna
Fine, fine.
say.
Oh, so just so you know, when I spoke today, I did mention to the students that I was told not to Harrison Bucker my speech today. So
Oh, okay.
so speaking of Harrison Bucker, the Chiefs re-signed him. Well, they signed him to an extension.
Hmm.
He got that bag as well
He
with the
did.
Chiefs,
He did.
and well deserving. He's helped the Chiefs. I mean, he's won 4 Super Bowls. I'm sorry, 3 Super Bowls with this team. What are you expecting from him this season?
Man, I feel like he's gonna pick up where he left off. I mean, he battled a little injuries last few couple years,
Hmm.
right? I think he was injured in what was it, New York,
No, it was Arizona
in
a
Arizona,
couple years
to the
ago.
field.
Opening
Yeah.
game.
So I think he's got rid of all that. Then last year we talked about Tommy Townsend, the whole, it went from Dustin Colquitt, who had been here
Oh
for a
yeah,
number of years, and moved over to Tommy Townsend, and then the hold kind of got, Dave Tope said they were working through some things and trying to fix the hold, and so they ended up fixing that. And I think as long as you don't have those issues this year, he'll be fine.
All right, so we got a few minutes left. Folks want to know some of our predictions. So I did a podcast this week with Pat Mahomes Senior and a couple of Jims and Mikes, two Jims and a Mike. So I know myself, but I'm going to ask you initially. Do you have do you have your picks of who's going to win the divisions along with the wild cards and stuff like that?
Oh man, are we doing Super Bowl pick?
We're doing all that right now.
I mean, I just think if I'm going just straight to the Super Bowl,
Okay, okay. Let's do this. Give me AFC and NFC championship. Your 14 and who's in the Super
mm,
Bowl and who wins it.
I got
Get you on the record.
I have
And don't change it
mm,
between now and, and,
no, no,
and the
no,
red
no,
hour.
no, no,
So,
no. I got Baltimore and Chiefs
hmm, okay.
AFC Championship, and
Here
then
or in Baltimore?
everything goes through G.E.H.A field at Arrowhead Stadium.
Hey, man, hold on, man. You talking like they're sponsor something, man. What's wrong with you?
Holla at me, G.E.H.A. No, I got them, and then I have oh, NFC. Man, it's tough. I mean, this has to be every. I'm sound like a Dallas Cowboy fans now. This every year has to be Dallas's year, right? I got Dallas, and man,
NFC is
mm,
a lot stronger at the
yeah,
top.
I got Dallas, man, just winning no matter who they playing. I got Dallas going to the Super Bowl. Dallas
Okay,
Chiefs.
and who wins that?
If it's left up to the Chiefs, they gonna three-peat.
Okay, so I have Cleveland coming to Kansas City, taking on the
Mm,
Chiefs.
mm,
I like their defense, and I think Deshaun Watson, one is one of those seasons where he has to prove himself. If he stays healthy, I believe that team is going to do well,
mm.
and I do have them winning their AFC North. I have them come to Kansas City in late January. Getting beat down by the Chiefs.
Yep.
And the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl. I have the Eagles over the Niners, and look, I do like what Detroit is doing along with Green Bay. My issue is that it's going to be kind of like the AFC North. It's going to be like a gauntlet over there. And to
Hmm.
me, I just feel like whoever has home field advantage is going to see their way through. I think the Chiefs have proven that they can win at home and on the road. So
That's true.
I just
That's
feel like
true.
the Chiefs are just going to be the strongest team when the playoff comes. Um, I feel like the Eagles and their offense is going to be much, much, much improved, and I
Hmm.
think that they'll have the best record, and they'll host the games. And if they, to me, again, if they're hosting the NFC Championship game, I just think it's kind of hard for me to see that team losing at home. In the
Yeah.
NFC Championship. So I've got them, and I got the Chiefs winning over the Eagles to three-peat as well.
Okay.
So I know we got to get ready to go for to see Coco and the Star Spangled Banner and the Negro League hymn. Who you want to thank sponsor wise and your prediction for tonight's game.
I got Chiefs, man. Chiefs. I'm gonna give Chiefs 21.
I got you. I want to thank Yeah, and hey, got to thank Todd's Clothiers and Tailor Suits for making sure I look good for my speech today, along with tonight's game. And I also want to thank Gates Barbecue as always for taking care of us and feeding as well. So for Steve Walls, I'm Darren Smith. Make sure you follow us on social media at Steve Walls KC, at Darren Smith NFL. Follow us. We'll be back post game, bring you the press conference of Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and locker room interviews, and then we'll do some post game stuff following tonight's game, as long as it's not raining on the field and stuff like that. But join us Monday night for the Red Hour. We'll get you more information about that, and then we'll be back the following week on the 15th for our pregame show as we host the Cincinnati Bengals. So for Steve Walls, I'm Darren Smith. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. In the midst of the chaos of that day, heroism abounded when many